1 year ago, I stood before this House asking for your trust as your next president-elect. Today, I stand before you grateful for that trust, humbled by the opportunity to serve as your president, and excited to begin this journey together. To the members of the House of Delegates, AVMA staff, colleagues joining us from around the world, friends, family, and honored guests, thank you for being here. Over the past year, people have asked me, and I've asked myself a simple question. What is your goal as AVMA president? At first, I thought about initiatives, priorities, and the work ahead. But the more I reflected, the more I realized I might have been asking the wrong question. Maybe the question isn't, what do I want to accomplish? Maybe it's, how do I want to show up to serve this profession well? That question shaped my president-elect year. I invested in leadership coaching, not because I wanted to become someone different, but because I wanted to be more intentional about how I showed up for this once in a career opportunity. 3 commitments emerged. 1, to be a grounded communicator who brings calm, clarity, and perspective when conversations become difficult. 2, to remain inquisitive, asking thoughtful questions, welcoming perspectives that aren't always the loudest in the room, and making space for voices that we haven't heard. And 3, to lead sustainably with the steadiness, consistency, and energy this remarkable profession deserves. Those commitments don't come from a classroom. They came directly from veterinary medicine. Many of you know I continue to work as a relief veterinarian. When I introduce myself to clients during a relief shift, I often say something like, I'm a doctor every day. I'm just not a doctor in this hospital every day. I think that reminds me and all of us that every team has its own strengths, its own culture, and its own way of caring for patients and clients. The first thing I do isn't to tell people how things should be done. I ask questions. How can I help? What should I know before we get started? What can I learn from this team? Over time, I realized those aren't just relief veterinarian questions. They're leadership questions. If you've followed me on social media over the last few months, you've probably heard me begin many posts mentioning today's office. Over the past few months, today's office has been a relief hospital, airports, my home office, board meeting rooms, convention center, and yes, probably more than a few coffee shops. Every office teaches me something. Every conversation broadens my perspective. Every community reminds me why I love this profession. And every stop reinforces one belief that has become central to how I lead. Leadership doesn't begin with having all the answers. It begins with asking better questions, because better questions create better conversations, and better conversations lead to better decisions. One idea from my coaching journey has stayed with me as well. Leadership is a little bit like tending a garden. We don't make things grow. We create the conditions where growth becomes possible. I've come to believe that some of the most meaningful work we do is planting trees whose shade we never may personally enjoy. Isn't that what organized veterinary medicine has always been about? Every volunteer who served before us, every mentor who invested in someone else's future, every delegate who looked beyond today's challenge towards tomorrow's opportunity, they planted those trees. Today, all of us benefit because someone before us chose to invest in a future they would personally never see. Now, it's our turn. Whether you're serving in this house, mentoring a student, caring for patients, advancing research, shaping public policy, leading a practice, supporting a veterinary team, or serving our profession in the countless other ways, every one of us has a hand in cultivating what comes next. Our profession faces real challenges, but throughout this past year, I've also seen tremendous reasons for optimism. I've seen creativity emerge from challenge, innovation born from difficult conversations, and people who don't always agree choose collaboration because they care deeply about this profession and the people and animals we serve. Not because the road ahead will always be easy, but because we get to travel it together. To our international colleagues joining us this week, thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing your perspectives and reminding us that while our systems may differ, our purpose and our commitment to animals, people, and our profession is remarkably similar. As I begin this year of service as your president, I'll still be Jen every day. Over the next year, today's office will change nearly every day. Some days it will be an exam room, other days it will be this house, Capitol Hill, a television studio, or halfway around the world representing our profession. But wherever today's office happens to be, I hope you'll always recognize the same person. Still curious, still asking questions, still learning, still believing that our greatest strength has never been that we all think alike. Our greatest strength is that we care enough to keep learning from one another. 1 year ago, you trusted me to serve as your president-elect and to prepare for this moment. Today, I hope you'll continue to trust me, not because I'll always have the right answers, but because I'll keep asking the right questions. Because the future of veterinary medicine won't be built by any one of us. It will be cultivated by all of us. Let's plant trees whose shade we may never enjoy. Let's create the conditions where our teams, our profession, and the next generation can flourish. Let's get to work together.